What's going on, my dear friends? It's Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. We have yet another amazing guest this morning. Her name is Andrea, and she is going to be talking about empowering moms, prioritizing family and financial relief through digital marketing. Andrea, welcome to the show.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Tell us where you're calling in from.
Jacksonville, Florida.
Floridians in the house. Hey.
Basically neighbors.
Jacksonville is an interesting city. I've been there once. Went to a recovery convention up there. Jacksonville Jaguars, say no more.
Yeah.
Florida in the house. Okay, yeah, basically neighbors. So let's talk about digital marketing this morning, doing it in Florida, which is kind of the same as any state in any country kind of around the world, at least that has internet. And this is a global business. For those of you who are kind of wondering if this is just a United States of America thing, no, it's not. This is a worldwide opportunity here that we have to tap into people from all over the world. So Andrea, what led you to Legendary? What were you looking for? Did you find it?
Yeah, basically I'm a stay-at-home mom of 4, and I've done lots of other MLMs, blogging, all the things, and stumbled across Chelsea O's Instagram, and of course her face just like kept popping up. And so I bought the 15-day challenge, and not immediately, but very shortly into it was just like, this is the thing that I've been looking for that I didn't even know I was looking for. And yeah.
And the rest is internet history, right?
Yeah.
So what about seeing Chelsea's content attracted you? What was the things that she was saying? What was the things that she was doing that did sort of initially pull you in? And then we'll talk about what aha moments happened as you were starting the course. So what were the things that she was saying? What was she doing? Just as a reflection for us to kind of look at good marketing and say, what worked about that?
Yeah. First of all, I think she's really relatable. She's very like herself in her videos. But a lot of the videos that I initially saw were kind of just the side hustle videos. And I tried a lot of those. I looked into like some of the like Canva, Etsy stuff and played around with that a little bit, but it was just more tedious than I was interested in spending my time in. But then of course, like her videos just kept popping up. And so I was like digging a little deeper every time. And then when I saw what she was making too, I was like, if there's even like a slim possibility that I can make like a small percentage of what she is, like, why would I not spend $7 to even just find out? Like, to me, the $7 was like, I need to scratch this itch of curiosity of like, what even is this? So yeah. You're muted.
That's because I like to talk to myself, just kind of, even if I'm on like a live show, So relatable, that was an interesting word. And I think a lot of people would look at somebody like Chelsea content and think like, wow, that's like really good. Like what really relatable about it? And it's like, well, I don't, no two people look the same. No two people sound the same. So what you're saying is relatable is the way in which she was just herself and comfortable in her own skin. What has that showed you? Just to kind of fast forward, we'll back up, but just what has that helped you to realize about now that you're marketing and you're creating content? How have you used that lesson of her being herself in your own marketing? Did you start out being yourself and totally comfortable in your skin on video?
Yeah, I think that was a huge takeaway for me. Like, I don't stress out about my house being perfectly clean in the background. I don't have to have like my makeup and hair perfect to make a video. Like, I feel like it's not any mom I know. And so if that is my target market, like I'm not going to be relatable if I look perfect every single time I am on camera. And
Off the
so
backboard. That's a nugget right there. Seriously.
no,
It's like,
don't get me wrong. Like Chelsea is beautiful. I'm not saying that she looks like she's a mess, but like it was just this, like she's just
I
walking
didn't
around.
interpret it like that.
She's just walking around her house and like there's toys on the floor or like wearing a baggy sweatshirt or whatever, like just normal life. Like if someone is seeing my content and think like, oh, well, I have to like look all put together before I can even do this, then like nobody is going to, or at least the people that I am like, my target market is not going to think, oh, this is something I could totally do.
Yeah. Agreed. And it took me a long time to sort of embrace that when I first got started myself. And I talk about that quite often on this show. So as you were going, you've done lots of MLMs in the past, as you said, and by the way, thank you for your whole family service. I know your husband is a Navy pilot. Is that correct?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hey, thank you all. A lot of times the spouses don't get a thanks, but there's a lot of sacrifice that the family makes too, for somebody to be in a service position like your husband. And so, I want to just thank your whole family for your service to our country.
Yeah.
So what about it? Like I've done a lot of MLM type stuff. I've done a lot of things, even before this and even during as I was getting started. And then I kind of have tiptoed back in various things sort of along the journey, right? If I felt like it was, if there was a gap in my work or something or whatever, like, I'm just an entrepreneur. I'm an opportunity seeker, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I can relate to kind of jumping around. I want everybody who's jumped around or done lots of things in any way, shape, or form to just let all of that shame go, like that you think that it didn't work out. And I'm not talking to you specifically, but I'm just talking to everybody because it really is that those were the stepping stones that all prepared us for exactly where we're at right now. But as you were going through the initial days of the 15-day challenge, what were the light bulb moments that were going off for you? What did you realize that you are now learning that you may have been missing in the past?
Well, when I very first started the challenge, I didn't even make it through the first video and I turned it off because I was like, I'm not doing this again. Like that was my initial reaction. And I quit like halfway through. And then I think like the next day I was like, okay, I'll finish like this one video and see if it gets any better. I turned it off and was still just like, I'm not doing this. And I just like set it aside because I still just was like so skeptical, which now I'm also thankful for that part too, which I can kind of get into. But then I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And again, it was one of those things where it's like, if the potential is here for me to make a significant amount of money where I can like truly impact my family, like I have to find that out. Like I have to know. I can't just like let this sit here and like all the information is here and I'm not doing anything with it. So eventually, I don't know, maybe like a week later, went back to it and like started day 2 and was like, got more into it. And, but yeah, now whenever people come to me and are like, I'm so skeptical, then I have this story of like, you know what? I didn't even make it through the first video. So like, it's totally normal and fine to be skeptical. Like I think it's good to be skeptical. Like you should ask questions. You should know what you're getting into. You should be informed. But yeah, it was definitely a process for me before I got to the point where I was like, okay, yeah, this is like real and gonna work.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I love that people are skeptical. I mean, we wouldn't need sales and marketing strategies if people weren't skeptical,
Right.
I mean, this is not 2000, this is not 200 BC. You know what I mean? It's not like we're just walking around and people have never seen, a business or a course or a guru or, I mean, this is 2023, man. there is everything under the sun that you can think of, including every type of snake oil salesman out there, every type of different pool that you can dip your toe in. And even if it is real and it's not a scam, it may not be a fit for you, right? And I say this to people all the time. Don't get this twisted, my friends. This is the school of hard knocks here at Legendary. This is Entrepreneur University. This is not for everybody. Many of you may not be ready for this right now. Why? Not because it's above you, but because you're not in a place in your life where you're ready to make that commitment yet. You know, a lot of us also, maybe you have entitlement issues. You think that it's a job or it's like government kind of pay or something, that where, you know, you've paid into this for so long, you just should automatically get a mentor. They should do everything for you for free, and you should get a check every week, no matter what you do. And the truth is, that's not how this works, right? Yeah. This is actually on the opposite spectrum from that, right? This is not Social Security. This is entrepreneurship insecurity. And the downside of that is that you can make up whatever you want about this, and it can be true for you. If you say it's a scam, then it'll be a scam to you, right? And you can create that story by not doing anything, because that entitlement is so deep, or that victim stancing is so deep, that you're not able to move forward. Or, you know, this is also not a job. You don't walk in, sign up. Somebody's not going to sit down and tell you what to do and micromanage you every day. I mean, you're buying education first and foremost. We're available for you to make an appointment with a business plan advisor and kind of go through the training. And there's tons of mentorship and coaching in this community that comes along with the program. And you got to show up to class every day. The problem is class is right there in your house. So sometimes it's easier to go to university because you got to drive and then you're in the classroom, so you're forced to pay attention. And it's harder when you're on your couch and Netflix is right there, right? Or your kids are right there, and you have to learn how to find those pockets of time. Now you have, did you say 4 kids?
Yeah, I have 4.
I could give a hat. I mean, good God almighty. How in God's name did you, and are you finding time?
I don't know. No, they're super great about going to bed. So that is when I get all of my stuff done. They're in bed at 8:00 at night. And then, like, whenever I was going through the challenge, I would immediately get on the computer and sit there for 2 or 3 hours every night, just like bulldozing through everything that I possibly could. So.
Wow. That sounds exhausting. And
I was determined.
And fulfilling, right?
Yeah.
Because nothing that is ever worth anything is going to be, you know, easy, right? And you as a you know, a mom of 4, which is, in my opinion, the hardest job in the world, right? Because it's like so important to you, and it requires 24/7 presence. Even when they're sleeping, you have to be aware and able to go in there and see if they're okay, right? Not to mention whatever you and your husband have endured with him being in the service. And so to hear you say that you're spending 2-3 hours at night after a long ass day with 4 kids is truly inspiring, and lets me know that you are serious about this. And so, coming in so skeptical, as you should be, what helped you to make the decision to further invest in your education and kind of go all in? I think you enrolled in our blueprints. You kind of were like, okay, I'm going to do this kind of totally and soak up everything that I can. What was when did your mindset shift, and when did you make the decision that whether this is another one of the whatever, I'm just going to put all my past stuff aside, and I'm going to be full in and all in on this and learn everything I can and treat this like a damn university education, or like a business that I would go out and take a bank loan and have a bunch of equipment and be on the line for tens of thousands of dollars. When did that switch happen for you and you decide to be all in?
I think like as I was going through the 15-day challenge, I honestly just got this like gut feeling, like this is the thing that I'm supposed to do. But also like I have a degree in communications. And so I took marketing classes, copywriting classes, journalism classes, like all the things in college. Like that's what my bachelor's degree is in. And I never did anything with it. And I think it was like, I had kind of like dipped my toes in the water a little bit in college and kind of knew like I liked that type of thing, but I didn't know what to do with it. And so as I'm like finding out more about digital marketing, I just was like, this is the thing that I have been looking for the last 10 years. And I just didn't even know it existed. Like, this is the thing that I am supposed to be doing. And so by the time I even got to the video that like talked about the blueprints, I had already told my husband, like, I want to buy this. Like I knew, of course I had Googled everything. Like I knew exactly how much they were, what it was. Like I had done all the things. And so I did like, even watching that video, I like already knew. It was like, this is the thing that is going to make a difference for our family.
That's really powerful. And I love that, you are making use of that education and that experience that you had in college, and that you got your degree in, and any other previous experience that you may have, because sometimes when we come out of college, and I'm speaking to all of you right now, and so are you, who, sometimes when we come out of an education experience and we don't find that perfect job or whatever, we kind of feel like it's a waste of like all of those years and money. And then we're on the hook for the student loans. And it's so cool for you to be able to have found something that fits nicely into that, but is also sort of more aligned with what you really want to do here in 2023 with 4 kids and a family and everything else, right? It's like, and also I want to speak to those who don't have a degree in communication or marketing. Remember that preparation for you to learn how to study, for you to learn how to show up and be consistent every day and actually graduate something and finish something. If you have a degree, even if it's in a different field, you can still use that experience. You still have stories from that time. You have stories from both your university experience. You have stories from whatever you previously did in the workforce that you can use now to communicate your message and tie in stories and analogies and things of that nature. So I got to ask, what has this experience been like compared to your university experience? And the education and the delivery and the community. Yes. And, I'm not looking for you to particularly bash your college experience and tell me how great we are. I'm just curious from your perspective of having now both of these, more one of a conventional education experience and now this kind of non-conventional education experience.
Yeah. I've definitely learned a lot more. I think though, because I care more, like when you're in college, I mean, I graduated when I was 20, actually. I got my bachelor's in 3 years and got married 2 weeks later.
Wow.
And, yeah.
Girls on fire.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I just kind of went through the motions of college of just like, well, I have to have a bachelor's degree to like get through life. So I guess I'm going to do this. And yeah, I think going into this, I had like a focused goal. It wasn't just, oh, I'm going to get a degree to have a degree. It was like, okay, I'm going to learn this specific skill to be able to apply it in a very specific way because I have specific goals.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that comes with also just maturing in age, right? I mean, a lot of us, and that's a reframe. That's a really powerful reframe for those of us who may be thinking that we're too old for something or opportunity passed us by. How have you change your perspective on what can be accomplished, even in, you know, even as you've passed that sort of spring chicken phase of coming out of college and thinking that the only opportunity that really stands in the marketplace is for kind of brand new, fresh people coming right out of college. And that for those of us who are a little bit older with kids and maybe kind of even approaching 40, you know, or have hit 40, almost, and for those of you who are 50, 60, 70, 80, of course, we're empathizing for how you feel too. What have you realized about the difference between kind of, you know, opportunity sort of being presented from somebody else or kind of waiting for it to happen, and then actually going out and making it happen no matter how old you are?
No. I mean, I think if anything, it's almost a benefit because you do have, like you said, like all of those life experiences that have added up to who you are today. Like even with doing MLMs, like, yeah, that didn't pan out for me, but also I did a lot of things on social media with it. And so doing things like reels now is not really difficult for me. Like I haven't had that, like, oh my goodness, like I can't show my face or whatever moment because I have already done that before. And so, like, I think rather than looking at it as like, oh, I'm too old for this, just think like I have way more experience than all these other younger people. Like, I have so much more to contribute than someone who hasn't lived very much life. And if,
Yeah.
or like maybe people would think like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. They're only 21 or whatever. So there's pros and
Yeah.
cons either way. It's all about your perspective of how you decide you're going to view yourself, I think.
Yeah, I mean, June was responding to another comment from Jason talking about his experience with like going through her education, going through the blueprints, et cetera. And she said, you know, this gives me hope. I'm 71 and scared to death that I can't do it. Almost finished the challenge, got the blueprints. And, you know, that can be scary depending on how we're looking at it, right? Like if we're looking at it like, geez, yeah, I'm 71, I don't know if I still have it anymore. You know, I'm too old. Nobody's going to want to listen to me. All of these people are young and tech savvy, and kind of, you know, putting other people way up on a pedestal and putting myself way down in the depths of despair. But you just reframe that for us. And I've seen this to be true so many times that, you know, older, more mature, more experienced, more wise people who have the bravery, courage, and consistency to get out there online and actually share their wisdom and share their experience tend to be some of the most popular content creators and marketers out there, because us young folks are actually looking to you people for some dadgummit experience and for some wisdom, June. So let us have it, baby. Let us have it. There is nothing more inspirational for me than seeing somebody 20 or 30 years older than I am. And what I say to myself is, I hope I'm still rocking the damn world when I'm your age. It's such a heartwarming, inspiring thing to see. Andrea, what comes up for you when I say that? Do you agree? What would you add and say to June?
Yes, absolutely. I think that especially in today's age when like there is kind of that lack of wisdom from more experienced people, like I feel like there's this huge like generational gap that for us to have that is immeasurable value. Yeah.
Do you, my friends, I'm almost having like I'm about to just get, you know, I'm about to rant. So many of us need positive female and male figures in our lives. Some of us need to have corrective experiences with the older generations, because maybe we did not get all of our needs met or receive everything that we did need in our childhood. Maybe right now we don't have a mentor. Maybe right now we don't have somebody who we can go to and listen to and receive some of that that as somebody said in the comments, seasoned wisdom from somebody from a previous generation. And that is not to say that our parents are not great and did not do the best that they could, but our parents can't be everything to us. They're just human beings. Has anybody ever heard the phrase, it takes a village? We need people who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s. We need people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s to tell us what life is like, what life can be like, help to guide us, tell us what it was like in a non-shaming way, right? Don't tell us that, we're lazy and stupid and that you had to, walk up, both ways, 2 miles in the snow and we got it easy. Don't shame us. We're going to be your age one day and you were our age one day. Speak life into us. Help us to understand what we have to expect. Talk to us about real stuff that happens in life that maybe somebody didn't talk to us about. How many of us didn't get the birds and the bees conversation? Probably almost all of us, right? Because it was awkward and uncomfortable. And most people back in that generation didn't talk about those kind of things, right? So those are the type of topics that we need people to have just the courage to just talk about. I'm just using that as an analogy, but what is it like to be a parent and enter into your late 30s? Something changes, man. Something changes from when you were in your 20s. What's it like to go? What does a midlife crisis actually mean? And can you help guide us through our 40s without feeling shame and without feeling like we're doing something wrong? There's so much that we can give each other, and particularly those of you who are more wise and who are more experienced in life have so much to give. And I'm telling you, we want it. The younger generations want it. We need it. And quite frankly, if you have that wisdom and that experience, you're doing the world a disservice by not sharing it. Andrea, what comes up for you as I rant about this?
I think that generation didn't talk a lot about money, and that would have been super helpful to our generation.
Thanks.
I feel like that's like a taboo topic that, like, our parents, my husband and I have this conversation a lot. Like, money was never discussed around us, and it wasn't discussed among like our parents and their peers. And it was kind of this, like, you use the word shame. It was this kind of like shameful stigma of, well, if you didn't have enough money to buy your kids like XYZ brand shoes or whatever, then it was just very like a taboo topic. Like, we just don't talk about money. And I think that is a huge mistake that we should be sharing wisdom with each other on, like, the mistakes that we've made and the things that work and learning from that, because it would prevent a lot of this like insurmountable debt that I feel like my generation is in, from student loans, credit cards, buying a car you can't afford, whatever it is. Like, all of those mistakes could have been avoided if we had just had some open dialogue about, like, this is how money works. This is what debt means. This is what interest is. This is how taxes work. Like, all of those things. Like, that's the stuff that I wish that I had learned much earlier on from older people who had gone before me, and somehow it seems like they magically know those things. I know that's not the case, but so much wisdom when it comes to finances from more mature people. Yes.
And it's not just about what you did right. I think that the older generations feel, and people in their whatever 50s, 60s, 80s, 90s think that, I would say hundreds, but I haven't met anybody yet in our community who's past 100. I'm just trying to include everybody. I think that people feel like, and this relates to us too, right? Like, it relates to anybody, but particularly to somebody who is older, is going to feel like, well, if I didn't get it all right, what right do I have to speak on it?
Yeah.
And it's like the biggest thing that you can help somebody in your content do is to avoid mistakes, is to talk about the things that you got wrong. You were even parenting your kids. And by the way, you want to talk about therapeutic value? There's amazing therapeutic value in validating to people, especially your own children, if they were to hear your content, what mistakes you did make.
Yep.
Huge validation there, massive therapeutic value. And the people who are hearing you talk about the mistakes that you made are going to respect you so much. And that is the real value of, that is the real value of sharing both sides of the coin, not just always trying to think that you need to only share your highlight reel and be an expert. So as you've started marketing, how have you embraced the good and the bad in your content? How have you embraced your authentic self? How have you been vulnerable and transparent? And obviously you have so far to go and you're realizing your potential. But how have you taken some of the lessons from Chelsea that you learned, and of course some of these other things that we're talking about now, and created more relatable content for your audience?
Yeah. I'm very open and honest about every aspect of our financial journey that got me to this point. My husband and I both, like I said, I got married, I was right out of college. He was still in college, and we knew nothing about money. And we were very quickly tens of thousands of dollars in debt. But it was we had Disney annual passes before we had kids that we 100% didn't need. We just were blowing money because that's what all our friends were doing. And we were just well, they're doing it. I guess this is what we're going to do too. And so then a few years into our marriage, of course, we were almost $80,000 in debt. Damn. And it was oh my gosh, what have we done? And at that point we had 2 kids and just started really reevaluating how we were spending money. Of course, it was causing huge financial stress on my husband because he's the only one bringing in an income. And we actually took a class at our church that was called Money and Marriage. So it was literally about how your marriage relationship and money work together in light of scripture. And so we took that class and we were okay, well, we are doing this very wrong. And we took a bunch of drastic measures. We paid off all of that debt. And then we still were not in a place financially that we wanted to be in. And then right after we paid off all that debt, my car died. And it was when you couldn't buy a car because there weren't any available, used or new. And so we ended up turning around. We paid off our debt, and then 3 months later, we're another 45 grand in debt for my car that I had to turn around and buy. And so it was and I tell all this in my content of it wasn't that, it's not that he doesn't make good money. It's that life just keeps happening. And life is never going to stop happening. So unless you do something different to bring in more income, yes, paying off the debt is great, but that isn't the end all be all. There's so much more to it than that. And so, yeah, I'm very open about I will openly tell people what our mortgage payment is or whatever else, how much debt we were in, because I think it's relatable, but I also think it sheds some hope on we were in a really deep, $80,000 may or may not be a lot of debt to some people, because I know there's people with way more student loans and stuff. But yeah, that's been a huge driving force for why I even chose to do this, because I was yes, we're paying all our bills, but that isn't the thing. That's not the life I want. I don't want to just be able to pay bills. My son wanted to do surf camp this summer, and it was $245. And I was how am I going to pay for this? And this was like right before I actually signed up for the challenge. And that was one thing I was going through it. I was like, I don't want $245 to be like a hang up for us. Like, I just want to sign them up for surf camp and it be fun and like not stressful and like be able to do that stuff. So yeah, I'm a pretty open book when it comes to all of that in my content as I share with people about our journey, because I think, yeah, you have to be in order for people to trust you too. I think if it looks like it's just all flowers and roses in your life, then nobody is going to be motivated by that.
Yeah. Yeah. My whole business changed when I started to share the ugly parts of my history and my life experience. Of course, I was 24, really 25-ish when I started this, 24 when I got clean, and then did construction, got into some more MLMs, and pretty much got started online trying to figure out how to generate leads for those MLMs. And then one thing led to another. And I didn't have any life successes to share about. The only successes that I had was the fact that I had generated 5 leads yesterday. I mean, it wasn't like I was even making a lot of commissions, but I had all of this. I had this big mess that I turned into a message. Mm-hmm. I figured out through just the kind of storytelling formulas that we teach right here inside of Legendary. I started to do it through the storytelling formulas that I learned in recovery, which was what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. I mean, it's like kind of basic ass frameworks, you know what I mean? That just allowed me to begin to sort of not get so drowned out in what happened, but what it was like, but focus more on what happened and what it's like now. Like, what happened? Well, what happened was I got sick and tired of being dadgum homeless. I got sick and tired of being addicted. I got sick and tired of being broken. That's what happened. And what happened was I decided I was going to be a freaking entrepreneur, because I also hated working for my dadgum dad. Wasn't working. We were fighting more than we were producing, right? He was actually still drinking back then after 50 years. We were both. He actually got sober 6 months after I got clean back then. He's now 15 years sober. But when I crawled up on his doorstep and I was trying to get started, we were both a dadgum wreck. That's why he's my best friend. We've been through a lot of stuff together. Yeah. But I started to turn those struggles into those strengths. And my friends, nobody's going to come and mine your gold for you. You have gold. We were just talking about all that wisdom and life experience that an older person has. Nobody's going to come and mine that gold for you. You can die with that gold buried right inside of you if you want to. All of that beautiful gold, all of that beautiful wisdom, all of those beautiful stories that could be valuable. You want to know why some people are famous and become legendary? Because they wrote it down and documented it. They decided to do the work to write the book. I mean, mostly in history, it's been books that have been passed on that have created legends, right? But nowadays, it's videos. Nowadays, it's PDFs. Nowadays, it's social media posts. You don't have to write a Bible. You don't have to write something that was documented in 2,000 years ago, or you don't even have to write a full book, which many authors still do to this day. You can just make a post. You can just write a post. You can just go live. And now all of a sudden you have an opportunity to take your mess and communicate it into a message, a lesson, and for somebody to listen to it and receive, sort of like you do every week at church if you go, right? The power of that is there's a pastor that's up on the stage or at the podium or in front of the room that's communicating and breaking down some of the parables. And that all started because it was documented, because somebody decided to take what happened, what it was like, and tell the story of what happened and kind of what it's like now after it happened. And that gets to be told for generations and centuries to come. And we have that same power now right at our fingertips. And so many of us are overlooking it right now because of fear. So what was it like for you to begin to get on video? And what were some of the things that you initially thought, and how did you get over them? How did you get over yourself and overcome also some of the criticism that you may have received from either friends, family, or just people online?
I actually, like, I posted on my personal Facebook page before I posted anywhere else. Like, I just don't really care what other people think. And so if they were going to be for me, then that's great. But if they were going to be against me, then I didn't really care. My biggest fears came from like the tech side of things. That was where I was like, I don't know if I can do this, because like, even yesterday, my husband called me from work wanting me to like open up a document for him. And he's like, is that a document or a file? And I was like, I don't know. What's the difference? Like, I just am like not tech savvy. So I feel like being on camera and like posting content, that was not where my fear was. My fear was like, can I set up a funnel? Like, I sat at my computer at one point, like almost in tears. And my husband came up to me. He's like, do you want me to help you? And I was like, no, I'm going to figure this out by myself. Like, I am going to do this. But that is just something that does not come easy to me. And so that side of things was more where I had the hesitation and reservations of like, I don't know, like, can I do this in a way that is actually going to work? Because like, this is kind of an important part of how all of this works together.
Now take us to present day. Have you figured that out? Have you realized it wasn't truly a mountain? It was really only a molehill?
Yeah. Yeah. And now, I mean, I barely even do anything with any of that stuff now. Like, once I got it set up, that was it. Like, it's set up. So I don't have to it's not something I had to redo once a week or whatever. So, and there was something I wanted to change a few weeks ago. And so I just went back to the blueprints, rewatched that video so I could go back and see like how I needed to change that one part. And I changed it and then just moved on with my day. So,
I was talking about this yesterday, the power of just paying for I was talking about it with Tom Nagar, with our with setting up, setting up like your structure and kind of just in general, just doing things right the first time. Like the power of investing in education, like for example, with our blueprints. And again, everybody needs to make their own decision and decide what's right for them. This is not like you either do this or you don't. And if you don't, you suck and, you're doomed. That's never my message. I think you all should learn these skills. If you can find somewhere else to learn them that you feel more comfortable, go do it. But the power of like just paying for something and in buying quality is that, you can do it right the first time. You don't have to sift and dig through YouTube University for hours, months, years trying to figure stuff out or realize that somebody showed you the wrong way or took you down a rabbit hole. It's like one of the powers of our community now is that our strategies are proven, and it's obvious that people from all walks of life can also do them. And so that takes me here to Walter's question, which says, what if you just have a mess? And Walter, thank you for your question. What if you just have a mess and there's no story yet of success? This is what happened and it's still happening. Nothing has changed yet. And my response is, again, thank you so much for the vulnerable question. I really appreciate it. But nothing's going to change until you take some sort of action that changes it, right? And that can simply be that you took a course and now you're taking action from the information in that course and doing something about it. Just the simple fact that you asked that question today is an action that you took to be vulnerable. It's an action that you took to be new at something. At least your picture appears that you're a seasoned, well-experienced gentleman in life. And so just the very fact that you're starting something and you're willing to be a learner, you're willing to be new at something, you're willing to try again, you're willing to put yourself out there, that you're learning how to build a business, you're learning how to be an entrepreneur, even if that's something that you didn't do earlier in life. That is dadgum inspa freaking, it's just motivational, dude. You know, and when you connect action to that inspiration, right, which right now you're just getting your feet wet, right? You're kind of deciding and wondering, can I really turn my mess into a message? Can I turn my struggle into my strengths? Well, you're beginning the process by opening your head and your heart right now to letting something new in. And I honor you because you're asking people also who appear to be younger than you. You're here with a humble heart. That is inspirational to people. You're willing to do whatever it takes. And so now go through our education and begin to put the pieces in place. Follow the damn videos, man. It's not something that, the majority of us are sitting here kind of maybe watching Wake Up Legendary or sitting on the sidelines going, I'm confused. Well, get in the dadgum training. You've learned how to do new things before, and you can learn how to do this too. Jeff Bezos said, I don't have anxiety because when a problem presents itself, I immediately take action on it. I start sending an email. I get the process started. I take some sort of an action that makes me feel like I've got the ball rolling. Get the damn ball rolling, brother. That's how you turn what appears to be no success into blossoming success. We all have to start somewhere. Do you agree with that? Anything you would add?
I would just say nobody starts with a success story. Like you're not succeeding from the beginning. You have to decide to do something. Like that's how you get to the success story.
Yeah. Well, gosh, it's like time's flying. I love and hate when this happens because I clearly could go. I could talk for another hour or two with you. I'm inspired this morning. I'm inspired that your family is being of service to our country. I'm inspired that you have 4 children and that you're finding the time to do this. I'm inspired that you figured out how to turn your previous education experience into value now in a different way than you may have been showed in college, but you're not being a victim, right? You're not like, oh, I got scammed, right? You're like, no, I'm going to turn this what was sort of what was something that I did that wasn't really clear or didn't fully feel like a fit for me at the time. I'm now taking that and I'm turning that into something. I'm inspired that you're mining the gold in your own life and sharing it vulnerably from the beginning. How long have you even been doing this? Can I ask before, as we start to bring this in for a landing, can you give us a little bit of your timeline just in a brief synopsis?
Yeah, so I started the 15-day challenge at the beginning of May, and I posted my first video May 28th. So
Nice.
less than 3 months.
Wow.
Yep.
That's beautiful. That's inspirational. And I love how, single people you don't have time to waste, but a mama of 4 with a husband in the Navy and probably lots of other things going on in your life that you haven't even mentioned. It shows why you're having momentum and seeing success now. And I know that you are just at the very beginning. What has this process taught you or reminded you about your potential? How has this reintroduced you to yourself in ways that you may not have known or forgotten about?
I think that I have seen that what I put into something is what I will get out of it. As I go through my day, either with the kids or creating content or anything else, like when I do something and do it well and am focused and determined to do it that way, it turns out well. It works so much better. If I am being just lazy and turning on the TV for the kids because I don't want to deal with them, then our day is a wreck. If I am just putting out content and it's just I'm doing it halfway because I don't feel like it, then it usually flops. But when I do something well, when I really put in the time to do it right, like you said, do it right from the beginning, then that is when I am finding success. And that motivates me through the whole entire rest of my day to, I feel like it turns me into a completely different mom and wife because I just see myself differently. I see like, okay, I can do this. I can put 100% into something and it actually pays off.
Wow. Wow. That's such a powerful reminder for all of us who are doing this, but are also feeling frustrated in our motherhood, fatherhood, grandma, grandpahood, whatever, are feeling frustrated or unfulfilled in our work life or whatever it is, in our marriage, right? It's always, there's always that pull, there's always that sort of seduction to blame it on somebody else, right? To make
Yeah.
it somebody else's problem. That's why when we say things like, well, I got scammed, did you really? Or did you just not do it? Did you just not put in the effort? Did you just have an attitude of entitlement? Did you just treat it like a job when it wasn't? Same thing with a marriage. It's like, I'm not happy in my marriage. Well, are you, or are you just, have you tried everything, right? My kids are little shits and are they, right? Are they? Or are we just getting out of them what we're putting into them? It's such a powerful perspective to approach anything in life. Last question. What advice would you give yourself that you know now that you may have needed to hear when you first started this process?
I think just keep going. I think just like, regardless of whether you feel like it or not on days, well, I think too, like, give yourself some grace. If you need a day to just take the day off, then do that. But then the next day, like, get up and do it again. Like, just do the thing. Yeah, I think that just do it. I know that's not like super profound, but
no, it's powerful. I mean, it's relatable in so many ways because so many of us are just like, really, we just get in our own way, and we just make up things and attach meaning to things that, like, we just literally pull out of our hats.
or excuses like, I'm tired, I was up with the baby, I have to do all these other things today. Like, okay, well, maybe that's true, but like, how bad do you want to succeed? Do you want it worse than you want a nap? Do you want it worse than you like, I mean, whatever the thing is that you're using as an excuse to get in your way, like, okay, well, do you want that worse than you want success? Do you want that worse than you want to get out of debt? Like, okay, well, then that's your choice. But then, like you said, you can't be mad at other people for that. Like, you're the one who made the choice.
Yeah. Well, thank you for making your choice and coming on and being able to share your journey with us. And I know that you're just getting started. I mean, you literally just started this. If I was to think back about where I was 3 months or so into my journey, I mean, give me a break. It was literally just the absolute first bite of the appetizer. You know what I mean? I hadn't even gone to the bathroom yet. You know what I mean? It was literally just me sitting down and just totally like getting started, just realizing that I was hungry. You know what I mean? Like, so you
I'm
are,
so excited.
huh?
I said, I'm so excited for the future.
Yeah, you're right at the beginning of your journey, and I hope that you'll come back and continue to keep us posted. Come back, see me again in a couple of months, and let us know how everything's going. Okay.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, you're so welcome. Have a blessed day, and best to you and your entire family. Stay legendary, my friend. All right, there you go. You can see, you can watch, you can hear, you can learn from Andrea over on Instagram at Andrea, AKA Marketer. Okay. And it's spelled exactly how it sounds. Andrea, AKA marketer. All right. What a powerful interview. We covered a lot of topics, and I'm so glad to see your comment here, Walter, because I highlighted your question there, and I hope that it landed and was helpful back to you and everybody else listening. Thank you all for your comments. Thank you all for your input, your encouragement. We feed off of your comments. We do this for you. This is all about, this is a free show. So really anybody in the interviews can come and tune into this. But the majority of people, obviously, who are watching are those who are going through our challenge and kind of getting started in our process and are looking to hear from other people who have been in their seat. And so if you want to make sure that you get a text message every morning to remind you when we go live, you can text WUL to 813-296-8553. Again, WUL, text it to 813-296-8553. We usually do reach out to people to invite them onto the show like we did with Andrea and most all of our other guests. But if you have something that you feel would be a great conversation, a story, you feel like you want to come out here and be featured on the show, you can always go and fill out legendarymarketer.com/featured. And we'll consider having you out onto the show. And once again, please go follow Andrea. She's just, as you can see from the conversation this morning, another person that's worthy of your support, who wants your support, who wants to support you, who you can learn so much from, and who also is clearly humble enough to want to learn from you as well. This is what this community is about. That is what community is about. And she and I need your support, need your encouragement, need your likes, need your comments, all that kind of stuff, as much as you need us. We don't want you to put us on a pedestal as if we're different or better than you are. We want you to know that we're all in this together. And the journey of being a business owner and an entrepreneur is a journey of ups and downs. And we're not all going to be up on the same day. Thankfully, we're also not going to all be down on the same day. So we can provide encouragement to each other along the way. Get out of here, my friends. We'll see you back here tomorrow for another episode. As usual, 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here. Same place, same time. Stay legendary. Get out of here. Peace.